Hello friends, today we will cover gender as a dimension of social stratification. So let us start now. In general, sociologists use the term sex to refer to the anatomical and physiological differences that defines male and female bodies. Gender by contrast concerns the psychological, social and cultural differences between males and female. Gender is concerned with the socially constructed notions of masculinity and femininity. It is not necessarily a direct product of an individual biological sex. Thus, gender is socially created concept which attributes different social roles and identity to men and women. In almost all society, gender is a significant force, or we can say form of social stratification. Gender is a critical factor structuring the types of opportunities and life chances faced by individuals and groups. The gender identity strongly influences the role the individuals and the group play within social institutions, from household to the state. Man roles are generally more highly valued and rewarded than women's role. In almost all culture, women bear the primary responsibility for child care and domestic work, while men have traditionally taken the role of providing livelihood. This kind of division of labor between sexes has led to men and women assuming unequal position in terms of power, prestige and wealth. Despite the advancement that the women have made in countries around the world, gender differences continue to serve as a basis of social inequality. Sociologists like, for example, Anna Ockle claim that the feminine social roles, such as those of housewife and mother who care for their children, is not a product of female biology. According to Ockle, it is the product of society that determines the behavior of sexes within it. Anna Ockle further argued that biological characteristics do not bar women from particular occupation. Thus, mothering role is socially constructed. As industrial society progressed, women were gradually displaced from the labor force. They became dependent. Later, industrial society again recruited women as labor force because of shortage in the labor power or force. Because of this, Marx has said women are the reserve army of capitalist society. However, this reserve army is often paid very less than their male counterparts. Anna Ockle further argued that capitalist system has not given a substantial freedom of choice to women in case of occupation. Most of the women are employed in those occupations. Most of the women are employed in those occupations which have a strong relationship with traditional family role that women play. For example, family role is entertaining role. Similarly, in professional role, how it has been transferred to receptionist. So we can find that most of the receptionists are women. Similarly, family role of housewife and mother has been transferred to the nursing role. and first teacher, young mother role from family to professional role has been transferred to primary teacher, nursery teacher. Similarly, mother, mistress, maid role has been transferred to secretary, personal secretary. The development of feminism has led to higher attention be focused on the gender inequality that prevalent in many society. There are different streams of feminism which study gender differently. First one is radical feminism. They see society as a patriarchal and blame men for the exploitation of women. Men use violence and its threat to secure and maintain their power over women. Marxist and socialist feminism, they see capitalists as the main beneficiaries of the exploitation, unpaid work indirectly as men are able to work at the expense of their wife. Sexual inequality, unlike Marxist, socialists believe in the democratic system and aim for change within it. Now, what liberal feminists think? The liberal feminists are the most moderate of them all, and believe that it is culture that is the social system. Aim for equal opportunities, especially in education and work. So, liberal feminists are emphasizing on equal opportunities of education and work to bring gender equality. Let us see what about the black feminism. Black feminists, the feminists of black Africans in USA and Europe argued that apart from all other factors, ethnicity is also a major factor for gender discrimination. Now, postmodern feminism. Postmodern feminists challenge the idea that there is a unitary basis of identity and experience shared by all women. They reject the claim of any grand theory. Many groups, each having different experiences, celebrate the diversity. The recognition of difference is central to postmodern feminism. Deconstruct male language and masculine view of the world. Men see the world as a binary. Deconstruction involves attacking binary concept and recasting their opposites in a new and positive manner. That is Freud penis in Y theory. Young girls feel deprived and envious that they do not have a penis to be changed. So this binary perspective must be changed according to postmodern feminism. For showing the gender inequality in society, radical feminists are more important. Radical feminists blame the exploitation of women on men. To a radical feminist, it is primarily men and their system of domination known as patriarchy, which is responsible for subordination, exploitation, marginalization of women in society. So let us see some major radical feminists. First one is Shulamit Firestone. Shulamit Firestone was probably the first sociologist to develop a radical feminist explanation of female inequality, or we can say gender inequality. Shulamit, in her book The Dialectics of Sex in 1970, said that inequality in case of gender comes out of biology. However, this is not physical biology, rather than social interpretation of biology. She talked about three related factors. First one is biology, second mothering role, and third dependence upon mothering role. According to Shulamit, women have disadvantageous position because of certain biological elements like childbirth, menopause, post-childbirth, physical weakness, etc. Post-childbirth, physical weakness, etc. create a lot of burden on women. At the same time, the period of pregnancy and breastfeeding has a lot of social significance in many societies. Women dependency on men increases by the long period of pregnancy and childcare. Again, mothering role creates a lot of dependency of women on men. Shulamit believes that the sexual class system was the first form of stratification. It predated class system and provided the basis from which the other forms of stratification evolved. She says that sexual class system has its own origin in biological element that a woman faces in the society. Now let us say what about Marxist interpretation of gender inequality is. Frederick Engels. Actually, Marx didn't put too much stress on gender equality. Rather, his friend Frederick Engels devoted more attention to the sociology on gender inequality than Marx. In his book, The Origin of Family, Private Property and State, Engels has stated that in the earlier phase of sociological development, gender inequality favored women rather than men. In the early phase of hunting and gathering society, women was not subordinate to men. Private property existed only in the rudimentary form. Comprised simple tools, utensils and weapons, and they were passed down through the female line and not male line. This was because monogamy marriage did not exist. Both men and women could have many sexual relations as they could choose. Consequently, men were not sure about which child belonged to whom. According to Engels, it was during the period of late barbarian that women suffered a world historical defeat with the domination of animals and settlement of agriculture, domestication. It is not domination, domestication, and settlement of agriculture. Private property developed. Men gained the responsibility for owning and controlling livestock and agricultural produce. He no more allowed these things to pass down in female line in one generation to another. Thus, matriarchal family was challenged by man. In order to ensure that he could identify his children, men put increased restrictions on women's choice of sexual partner. Eventually, when the society reached modern phase, monogamy marriage was established, and during this time the man got control over patriarchal system and rules of inheritance and residence. This is the perspective of Frederick Engels. Now let us see the Michel Rizaldo. Argued that it is the division between the public and private world which is the reason for women's subordination. With the examples of Amity Pygmies of Africa, she demonstrated that where men and women share domestic responsibility, the society are relatively egalitarian. So here it is talking about the division between the public and private domestic world, which is the reason for women's subordination, because domestic world has been assigned to women and public to men. Now let us see about Sylvia Walby. She is British sociologist and we can say a radical feminist. In our writing we have to mention this name also. The rise of patriarchy and gender-based stratification. Sylvia Walby has given the most comprehensive theory regarding patriarchy to explain gender inequality and male domination in society. In her book, Theorizing Patriarchy, 1990, she has argued that the concept of patriarchy is essential to any analysis of gender inequality. She defines patriarchy as a system of social structure and practices in which men dominates, oppresses, and exploits women. Walby identifies six structures through which patriarchy operates. First one is production relation. In the household production relation, women are forced to do unpaid domestic labor such as housework, cooking, child care. It is even if they are working women. So in household production relations, women are forced to do unpaid domestic labor such as housework, cooking, child care. It is even if they are working women. We can witness in our Indian society also. Working women are generally forced to do household work also. Second, paid work. Women in the labor market are excluded from certain types of work, and they also receive lower pay. And segregation in less skilled job. Third, patriarchal state. In its policies and priorities, the state has a system biased towards a patriarchal interest. Fourth, male violence. Although male violence is often seen as compared to individual act, it is pattern and systematic. Women routinely experience this violence and are affected by it mostly. Fifth one, patriarchal relations. In sexuality, this is manifested in compulsory heterosexuality and in the sexual double standards between men and women. For example, in traditional societies, male can have polygamy but not allowed for female. Sixth one is patriarchal cultural institution. A variety of institutions and practices including media, religions, films and education produce representation of women within a patriarchal gauge. This representation of women identifies and prescribes acceptable standards of behavior and action for women. We can see in media, even the religious rituals and practices, even the film serials, that women are confined to do particular kind of task. Now, Kate Millett. She launched the second wave of women's liberation movement. Millett developed the notion that men have institutionalized power over women, and that this power is socially constructed as opposed to biological or innate one. In her famous book Sexual Politics, she has argued that there exists a power structure in any relationship, including men and women. She identifies 8 major factors for existence of patriarchy. And if patriarchy is there, then gender inequality will be there. First, biology, early socialization, which encourages men to be more aggressive. Second, ideological, men socializes to be more dominant. Third, sociological, family is the main institution of patriarchy. Fourth, relations between class and subordination. Fifth, educational factors. Sixth, myth and religion, Adam and Eve, we can say. Psychology, patriarchal ideology internalized by women. 8. Physical force, use of violence against women to keep control and subjugate. Now let us see what is double bind about women in politics. If a woman campaigned vigorously, she would like to be regarded as neglectful wife and mother. If she was an attentive wife and mother, she was apt to be judged incapable of devoting energy to public office. So it's all about gender as a dimension of stratification and gender inequality in society. So in the next lecture we will discuss with race and ethnicity. Okay, thank you very much.